The AFC West crowns a new champion. Did Drake May lock up the MVP award? And the 49ers stay alive for the 1 seed? All of that next on This Week in the NFL, Week 17. The Broncos were able to beat the Chiefs, and they absolutely dominated the time of possession. Overall, it wasn't the most pretty game in the world. They didn't throw for 400 yards and just absolutely destroy this team like some would think. They kind of just controlled the game. I'm pretty sure this was a Sean Payton. I'm not going to show too much. We're kind of just going to do the most basic thing possible because we know we're a better team than you. Why show a bunch of crazy when we can just beat you in the simplest way possible? Defensively, the only time that they were even able to score was defensive PI on PS2, which was just a terrible call. The ball wasn't catchable at all. Bo Nix rolled out and threw a great pass that got tipped and intercepted by Nick Bolton, which gave bad field position for the Broncos. And then a 44-yard punt return, which also gave bad field position to the Broncos. Besides those drives, the Chiefs didn't score. They couldn't move the ball. Chris Aludican finished the game with 66 yards. We did our job. We beat them. Great game. Minnesota was able to upset Detroit in a very, very important game for Detroit because they are now eliminated from the playoffs. They needed to win this game to stay alive for it, and they lost it against a team that's not very good. Max Brosmer had 3 net passing yards in this entire game, and you weren't able to win. And Detroit has missed the playoffs this year for the same reason that they were never going to win a Super Bowl. And that's because Jared Goff is their quarterback. Was Jared Goff horrible, horrid in this game? Yes, he was, actually. He absolutely was. I was about to give him a little bit of a pass, but he was absolutely horrible in this game, and he absolutely needed to be the best. This was the biggest game of the year for the Detroit Lions. The biggest game of the year against a team that you should be well better than. And you couldn't win it because Jared Goff folded under pressure with 4 turnovers. I don't know what more I have to say before anybody realizes that Jared Goff is not the guy. They cannot be content with Jared Goff as their quarterback. If they continue to be content and be like, oh, we got our guy, they're never going to get there. They are never going to get there. Jared Goff is a great bridge quarterback. He can lead your team to a playoff spot. He cannot win when it's important. And this season, he couldn't even make the playoffs. On Saturday, the Texans were able to beat the Chargers. And the one thing I really have to say about the Texans, we know their defense is amazing. Their offense is starting to get really concerning. It's looking really, really bad. CJ Stroud, besides those first couple drives with bomb touchdowns, he just wasn't very good in this game. And he almost gave the game right back to them. And to be perfectly honest, CJ Stroud has just been really, really bad in this entire season. He hasn't looked like the amazing prospect that we once thought he was going to be. He's just really not that guy. And he hasn't been for a while. I mean, Davis Mills went undefeated with this team because of how good the defense is. And this offense is so bad right now, but it might not even matter because of how good their defense is. This is one of those all-time defenses that people might come back and think of if this team makes the Super Bowl or even wins it, because this defense is on another level. They are able to shut down anybody and everybody whenever they need to. Their pass rush is amazing. Their linebackers are great. Their cornerbacks are amazing. Their safeties are good. They just have everything you could possibly need on a defensive unit. They just look like one of the scariest teams in the entire AFC. The Chargers' flaws are starting to catch up with them. This offensive line being as absolutely horrid as it is just not enough to win real key games against good defenses. And this is a season where Justin Herbert has been the only constant in this offense. Running backs have been hurt, wide receivers have been hurt, and also not the greatest wide receiver core in the world. The offensive line has been banged up and just bad. Arondé Gatson has dropping problems. There's been so many inconsistencies with this offense, and the only consistency has been Justin Herbert's excellence and dragging them to 11 wins. They should not be at 11 wins right now. If this were any other quarterback, I think this team has 11 losses. The fact that this team has 11 wins right now and is in the playoffs and has clinched a playoff spot is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This roster is not good enough for that. It's absolutely not good enough for that. And Justin Herbert is, with a broken hand, carrying this team. And he's not playing next week, which I think is a decent decision for them because seeding for them is not really going to change. They can't get into the top 4 seeds. So who really cares? They're going to be playing away no matter what. So why risk getting Justin Herbert hurt next week? We'll see how consistent they can be in the playoffs because this roster just isn't good enough. And unfortunately, people are going to start talking about how good Justin Herbert is after this season and after this playoffs again. And it's just going to be bad conversations again like it has been every other time he's made the playoffs. The Ravens destroy the Packers, and this Ravens offense gives the ball to King Henry, and everything works well. That is just a foreign concept apparently last week, but now we learned our lesson. We gave him the ball 35 times. He got 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Packers, on the other hand, your defense is atrocious, just bad. Without Micah Parsons, this defense is one of the worst units in football. They're not very good in man coverage, not very good in zone. They can't get pressure, and they can't stop the run to save their ever-loving life. This defense is just horrible, and it has taken them out of Super Bowl contention, in my opinion. Jordan Love can play as good as he wants. He can play MVP caliber. I do not think that that's going to matter at all. His defense is so bad that when it comes to actual playoff games, like I said, not going to matter how good Jordan Love plays. Not going to matter how good Josh Jacobs plays. Now, here are a couple games that I do not have a lot to say about. The Cowboys beat the Commanders 30-23. This was a pretty good game. I didn't watch a lot of it. Good job, Cowboys. The Saints were able to beat the Titans, and both of the quarterbacks in this game just played amazing games. They both look like they could be franchise quarterbacks one day. They both have that potential, and they both have shown that potential. This was a really good game, and one that I did not think was going to be all that amazing. So good for you guys. The Jags look really good right now. They were able to beat the Colts. They still have a shot for the 1 seed. They really could do it. Denver has to lose next week, which they're playing the Chargers. I don't know if that's going to really happen. I mean, Justin Herbert is not playing, so I wouldn't count on the Chargers winning that football game. But if Trevor Lawrence stays as consistent as he's been playing, as one of the better quarterbacks in the league, he's been playing otherworldly football at this point. This is the football that we expected to see from him a long time ago, and he's playing it at the most consistent rate he's ever been able to play it, which is very, very dangerous. This team could be Super Bowl contenders and strong Super Bowl contenders if Trevor Lawrence keeps playing this good. We have to see how consistent he's going to be because he could fall off next week or he could fall off in the first round of the playoffs. If he keeps playing like this, the sky's the limit for this team. The Seahawks were able to beat the Panthers, and the really only thing I have to say about this game is this offense is looking a little scary. I'm not too worried about it, but it is Sam Darnold at the end of the day, and in big situations ever in his career, especially last year, he folded. And he did not look amazing in this game. So a lot of questions are starting to come about, is this team really going to be able to do it with Sam Darnold at quarterback? But I'll save that question for next week. The Bengals were able to handle business and destroy the Cardinals 37-14, and they looked like the team we thought we would see when they started 2-0. Unfortunately, they're out of the playoffs, and it's too little too late. But maybe it's promising for next season. The Giants absolutely destroyed the Raiders and lost the Tank Bowl for the second year in a row, but they'll be fine. They have a lot of young talent on this team. Jackson Dart has shown a lot of promise this season. They get Cam Scatterbo back next year. They get Malik Neighbors back next year. Their offensive line has been better as of recently. This offense looks like it can work at a high level. Wan'Dale Robinson has been a bright spot for this offense as well. And this defense does need a little bit of tuning, but they have a great pass rush and a good defensive line. They just need to fix their run game. Their linebackers are undersized. Overall, I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. Obviously, now they can't get a haul for the number 1 pick from the Jets. It's not the worst thing in the world that they won this football game. The Steelers were able to beat the Browns, and Myles Garrett was speaking the truth. Myles Garrett said that the Steelers were more worried about stopping him than actually winning that football game. And I can tell you that's 100% true. I think there was a big problem that they didn't have DK and they didn't have Calvin Austin. And that was a huge major problem, and that reared its ugly head in this game as well. So they need DK back, and unfortunately they're not going to get him next week. And Calvin Austin's probably not going to play next week. So this is a very scary situation considering how this offense looked today. But I think part of the reason this offense looked the way it did was because they only gave a crap about Myles Garrett. On that last drive, 3 straight fades to Marquez Valdez-Scantling against Denzel Ward, with Aaron Rodgers just taking a snap, taking a step back, and throwing it to MVS immediately without looking at anything else, even though he had wide open players on other sides of the field. That tells me everything I need to know. He didn't want to keep the ball in his hand. He didn't want to give Myles Garrett even a shot at, and they threw 4 bodies at him all day. Winning was not their top priority. With Stafford's performance on Monday Night Football against the Falcons, Drake May is probably going to win the MVP of the NFL this season, and this is just a really cool story for him. In the game against the Jets, he had 5 touchdowns. He was 19 for 21. He only threw 2 incompletions for 256 yards and 5 touchdowns, and didn't play like half of the third quarter and the rest of the fourth. He was on another planet in this game, and he absolutely deserved it. Matthew Stafford in his game against the Falcons was just not good at all. I mean, he had 3 interceptions. This was just his worst game of the season. They weren't able to generate offense until it was too late. They almost came back, but even if he did come back, I wrote it in my notes because I wrote these notes while I was watching the game. I wrote, the comeback was good, but not enough. And then I crossed it out when he threw another pick to Xavier Watts. At the end of the day, even if he was able to come back in that game, he just wasn't like otherworldly. And Drake May was otherworldly this week. So I think that this award has officially been gifted to Drake May. And in his second season, in his sophomore season, just like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, he is going to win an MVP. Good for Drake May. And then Bijan Robinson might be the most skilled running back in football. He's just so smooth. In this game against the Rams, he was amazing. If I wanted to watch running back film over and over and over again, he would be one of my top candidates to watch because he's so smooth. He gets through breaks so easily, breaks tackles. He's so elusive. Like, he's so fun to watch. I definitely think right now he's the most talented running back in football. The Bucs get upset by the Dolphins. I'm going to say one thing about the Dolphins. Their defense, as of the last 8 weeks of the season, has been fantastic. Their defense has been on another level. They've been able to stop the run at a decent rate. So they've redeemed themselves from the beginning of the season when they looked like the worst unit in football. But let's talk about the real reason that I'm talking about this game, and that's the Bucs fumbling this game. I am surprised that they lost it to the Dolphins because the Dolphins just aren't a great team, even though Quinn Ewers looked pretty decent with this group, and obviously they have Devon Achane and everything. This is a game you needed to win. This is a game that was big, and obviously you can still make the playoffs next week by beating the Panthers, but this is just a bad loss. This is just a horrible loss, and Baker was just not good. He was, again, the guy that I've thought he was. He's just unfortunately not the guy for the Bucs. He's not going to win you a championship. I love Baker Mayfield. I think he's a great person, and he's an amazing personality, and he's an electric football player, but he is not a franchise quarterback, and he never has been. That's why he hasn't been able to stay on teams, because he's not a franchise quarterback. And I hope that the Bucs don't put their faith in Baker Mayfield like the Lions put their faith in Jared Goff, because this team has been healthy for a few weeks offensively now, and they're still not operating at the level that they should be operating. And it's mostly because of Baker Mayfield. The Eagles were able to beat the Bills 13-12. The Bills have too many flaws to really be a real contender, in my opinion, right now. They have so many. Their run defense is god awful. And while Saquon Barkley didn't do overall everything in this game, and the Eagles offense only scored 13 points, that doesn't change what has happened with the Bills defense this entire season. And they still had major lapses in this game, except in the second half. As much as the Eagles have struggled, I'm going to give the Bills credit on this defensive performance. Offensively, the Eagles are just a really good unit. Their wide receiver depth is horrible. Their wide receiver 1 in this game, I guess you could say, was Khalil Shakir, but their wide receiver 2 was Brandon Cooks, who can't hold a roster spot on any other team. And he was their second best wide receiver in this game. It's bad. It's bad. They have to draft a wide receiver immediately. They need more talent there because this team just can't work without outside talent like that. The Eagles are not one of those teams that'll take advantage of a terrible defense, apparently, because they still couldn't get the run going, and this offense was just atrocious. First half, fine. It wasn't horrible. Second half, I wanted to gouge my eyes out. 17 total yards and a half. You are lucky you won this game. You're lucky that Josh Allen threw a mallard on the last throw of the game, because if Josh Allen throws that ball accurately, this game was over. You have Saquon Barkley, and you still could not establish the run against the Bills defense. That is a major problem. That is such a problem that, like, I don't think that they're contenders either. I'm not worried about the Eagles if I'm an NFC team right now, because they can't establish the run on one of the worst run defenses in football. They won the game, but come on, man. Now, Sunday Night Football, we had the 49ers beat the Bears in a absolute thriller. This is possibly the game of the year. Both of the quarterbacks played fantastic football games. Brock Purdy has been playing elite football as of recently. He's looked amazing since he's come back and been healthy. He's just been great. And if we can see this consistent version of Brock Purdy, this 49ers team will continue to be dangerous because they have probably the best coach in football. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, all the injuries throughout this team, and he is still able to win games easily, especially against some of the top teams in the conference. They have a shot at the 1 seed with no Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner. Brandon Ayuk has been injured all year. George Kittle has missed time. Basically, the only person who hasn't missed time on this team right now is Christian McCaffrey, ironically. And they have still found a way to be 12-4 to have a shot at the 1 seed next week. That's baffling to me. The Bears, on the other hand, are so ahead in their rebuild. Caleb just keeps getting better and better every week. His downfield accuracy is getting better and better. And in this game, unfortunately, he just, luck of the draw, couldn't find anybody open on the last play. He just dealt through this entire game. A couple errant throws. His problem is accuracy. He needs to fix his accuracy. But overall, he was just fantastic in this game, along with Brock Purdy. With this team, with Ben Johnson, is just getting better and better. And first year with Ben Johnson, and this is what's happening. They are building something really special. This is just year 1. This team could be so good. It could be a dynasty. If Caleb Williams develops to be as good of a talent as we thought he was going to be out of the draft, and Ben Johnson is as good as he is right now, this is a possible dynasty on our hands. We just have to wait and see. Am I penciling them in for being that? No, but they have a chance, and it's the Chicago Bears. This is crazy. The Chicago Bears might have a franchise quarterback for the first time ever. You can call Jay Cutler a franchise quarterback. I don't care. I'm a Broncos fan. I hate that douchebag. They have a franchise quarterback for the first time ever. So good for the Chicago Bears. That'll be it for this week in the NFL, Week 17. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.